Okay. We are live. I need to trim this beard. It is way too long and gray.
I'm just letting mine go.
Yeah. I can't stand it when it's longer than like an eighth of an inch. It's too much for me.
Pretty long then. I usually trim my mustache, but I'm even just letting that do its thing.
Dude, when it starts... when I start getting wet shit living in my beard or in this soul patch area, then I know it's too far. Or if the hair like twists up into your nose, that's the worst.
I do that. Like I trim those if they're doing that, but usually I trim this, and I'm just letting Sam Elliott style just do its thing.
Nice. Okay, Lenny, you ready to start the recording?
Yes, I am.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, record.
Got it.
And for those just joining, we're about to get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, where are we? All right, I'll get us started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 12th episode of Season 3 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, GoodNightPunk, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Richie. Richie, what's going on, dude?
Well, just still trying to get my voice back after going to DC and screaming the loudest I've ever screamed at the end of that game.
Yeah, so for everyone that doesn't know, Richie was there for the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary.
Yep.
Does it have a name yet?
I've seen different names. I've seen the Hail Maryland, which is kind of cool. Hail Mary, Hail Maryland. I've seen the Maryland Miracle. I don't know if the team has decided on an official name or who makes those decisions, to be honest.
Who decides on these things?
Yes, who decides the important things? Like, what do we call these plays?
Every Hail Mary has to have a name for some reason.
What's the one against the Lions called? I don't know that name. The Aaron Rodgers one.
I don't know. I blocked it out of my mind.
That makes sense. That's how my dad feels right now.
I'm sure.
He was
because he also got to witness it on the other side of things.
Very unhappy.
That's hilarious to me.
And credit to him, man. He hit it. He hit it well. He was happy for me, and he didn't throw anything or curse in my presence, at least. I'm sure. When he was alone. But yeah, that was a hell of a trip, man. We went because it was the Bears and the Commanders, and the game was boring most of the time. Let's be honest. And then the last 53 seconds were pretty exciting.
Was he the one that the Bears cornerback was talking to when he should have been playing defense?
Unfortunately, we were in the other end zone. Yeah. I have thoughts of Tyreek Stevenson.
Great. I can't wait. All right, let's get started with the top 5.
Yeah, so this was your idea, so why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
All right, so I decided this week's big top 5 was going to be top 5 biggest injuries of 2024 so far. And it's funny, when I was making my list, I wasn't even thinking of the injuries that already happened and people have come back from, because neither of our list includes Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp, and you saw what happened to the Rams while those two were out. It's just kind of crazy how much injury has played a role in different teams' records so far this year. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the big ones and what they've done to the teams. So I'll just start it off, and I went opposite with this one. Usually when someone gets hurt, it hinders the team. The Browns are paying this guy so much money that I don't know that if this didn't happen, they would have taken him out. And I think their only chance of being moderately decent to 500 was to stop playing this guy. But that's Deshaun Watson, who tore his Achilles and is out for the year. Browns' first game under Jameis Winston at quarterback, get a big win over the Ravens. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was quite telling about how bad the Browns really are when a different quarterback comes in and upsets one of the best teams in the AFC. So it's like, oh, maybe they're not that bad. Maybe it's just Deshaun Watson.
It's like literally Deshaun Watson's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number 5 is a pretty recent one, and he wasn't having a huge season, but it's more about where he could have been next week, and that's Christian Kirk. Because all weekend it was a lot of speculation on if he's going to get traded, and he probably was, because then the Jaguars, traded Cam Robinson and Deontay Johnson got traded. So anyways, I figure Christian Kirk probably was going to get traded, and then he gets hurt and is out for the rest of the year, and it really sucks for him. He wasn't having the biggest year. He had been leapfrogged by Ron Thomas, and maybe could have gone somewhere else, and now he's got to wait till next season.
Yeah, and it's not like he was having the best season this year either.
No, yeah.
He didn't put together a great resume for a trade this year. The other years he's played in Jacksonville, he has. He's been a very good receiver, but average year was the news of trade talk, and then now he's hurt and out for the entire year. Just really stinks for him.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of receivers, despite what I thought to start the season, because Gabe Davis hasn't done anything. Christian Kirk wasn't really doing anything. And off the top of my head, I can't really remember who their other receivers are. Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas Jr.,
doing very good.
There's a guy named Parker Washington, which
I've seen him. He's a big fantasy pickup for this week. So we'll see how that goes. My next pick, number 4, is a homer pick, but it is still very important, and that is, let me set it up first. Piku, injured. Marcus Davenport, injured. Massive injuries along the Lions' defensive line front. Everyone they signed to play on the opposite end of Aiden Hutchinson to actually have an effective pass rush, injured. Then Aiden Hutchinson breaks his leg, and now he's out for the year. That is a massive injury for the defense, because all they are talking about right now is who can we trade for to get a pass rush, and when we come across a team that actually can protect their quarterback, are we still going to be able to play the way they have the past 2 weeks without Aiden Hutchinson? So I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, especially, he was leading the league in sacks. He was really having his coming out season. So that really sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
So my number 4 is Rashee Rice. He was having a really good year, really solidified himself as the Chiefs' number 1 receiver. And it seems like at this point, after he went down, they are just desperately trying to find anybody to be their number 1 receiver. They lost Hollywood Brown early on, and then Juju went down after having a pretty good game, and then they trade for DeAndre Hopkins, and it's like they are just scrambling to find somebody to catch the ball there now. Not to mention, I had him in a couple fantasy leagues, and he was doing very good for me. So that one sticks in my craw.
Yeah, he was. I just remember the last few games before he got hurt, where he's getting over 10 targets. Some of those games he had over 10 receptions. Rashee Rice was turning into a star for that team, and now they're having to sign and trade for anyone they can to have a receiver. And if they end up keeping those guys, you got to wonder if that actually stunts his growth more than helps, because he was the guy when he was making all these strides. And does he keep doing that when he has someone ahead of him? I don't know.
Right.
So you want to answer these 3 or 4 questions real quick?
Sure.
All right.
Let's see. Landon asks, Olave or Hunt this week? I'd go with Olave. I think Derek Carr is going to be back.
Yeah, he's projected to be back this week.
Yeah.
Which is foreshadowing for my fantasy segment.
Noah says Geno, Gibbs, Kamara, DK, Jefferson, Brock, Najee, Kyron Williams. I'm assuming that's just your team. It's a good team. I don't really know about Geno, but I like everybody else.
Yeah. Geno's decent, middle-of-the-road guy.
Yeah. Zane says trade Mason for Debo straight up. I got Swift, JT, Javonte, Bucky. Yeah, I would do it, Zane, if you're getting Debo. Christian McCaffrey is going to be back, and Mason is hurt now. So if you can get Debo for him, do it.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Like the perfect time to trade Mason. Get him out before he's worth nothing.
Exactly. Vanilla Gorilla just traded Hunt and Cup for Kyron W. Yeah, I'd say so. I'm assuming Cup was probably like your third or fourth receiver, so I'd say that's a W.
Well, Kyron is, for the second year in a row, one of the highest scoring players in fantasy, as well as he's still on this streak of touchdowns. So until that ends, he's one of the most valuable players in fantasy.
He said, yeah, Cup was my flex. Yeah, then great trade. Definitely W.
Mm-hmm.
Lake says Chase and Eckler for D. Montgomery and Jaden Reed. My current running backs are Etienne and Madison. Yeah,
I like
love
that
Dave
a lot,
Montgomery.
actually.
Yeah, and your running backs are garbage, man. No offense. I'm sure you're aware of that. So, yeah, I would probably make that trade.
Yeah, Eckler's, early teens type of scorer every week, whereas David Montgomery can get up in the 25 to 30 range every game. So
yeah, Montgomery's a solid every week running back. I mean, I love Jamar Chase, but I don't mind Jalen Reed, and I think it's easier to find receivers than it is running backs.
No.
Colin says, who won, AJ and Brian Thomas or Kenneth and Zay Flowers? Is that AJ Brown and Brian Thomas? And then Kenneth Walker and Zay Flowers, I'd say. Whoever got AJ Brown and Brian Thomas, in my opinion.
He says, yeah.
Okay, yeah. The AJ Brown, Brian Thomas side. That's the side I prefer.
No.
Jose Soto, Bills or Eagles defense this week? Bills are playing Miami, right?
I say the Eagles. That would be my pick.
Who are the Eagles playing?
The Jaguars, who are missing Christian Kirk.
Yeah, absolutely go Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Cool. All right, we're all caught up.
All right, so my number 3 biggest injury so far this season that's current is Chris Godwin on a Buccaneers team that is absolutely been shredding it this season with a Baker Mayfield MVP candidacy. To lose Chris Godwin is huge, especially because they had this thing, and they always had this thing going between Mike Evans and Chris Godwin where one or the other of them is going to get double covered and the other's going to go off. It always happens that way. Now when you don't have to make that decision where they can just double cover Mike Evans all game, it then comes down to newer receivers. Saying lesser seems like a rude way to say it, but not as established receivers there in the Buccaneers. And you saw last week what happened where I think I said this on the podcast where Cade Otton's stock was going to go up. And I believe he had 2 touchdowns last week. So it really comes down now to Mike Evans, if he can get open against harder coverage. Cade Otton running across the middle at tight end. Bucky Irving caught a lot of passes out of the backfield. And then if they can get a second guy to step in to that Chris Godwin spot. But if they can't, that's a big problem for them because they are looking very good this season. And they managed to win this past week without Godwin. So we'll see how much it really hurts them. But anytime you lose a guy like Godwin, that hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a good point of when you've got 2 great receivers, it's hard to cover both. And then when one's gone, it's like, okay, cool, we cover Mike Evans. And yeah, I like Jalen McMillan, Kate Otten. Like, there's chances for people to step up, but that sucks for the Bucks. And Baker and Godwin. He was having a career year. I believe he's a free agent after this year, so like he was gonna make bank. Like, yeah, it's rough. My number 3, I'm sticking with the Chiefs, is Isaiah Pacheco. And the funny thing about this injury is it didn't necessarily impact the team because they're still undefeated, but it did present the opportunity for Kareem Hunt to go back to Kansas City. And I just like that whole narrative of like him returning, and he's done well for them and they're still winning. So yeah, that one's big simply because it opened the door for Kareem Hunt. Didn't really impact the team because they're the Chiefs and Chiefs win, lol.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire just don't know what's going on with him.
Still waiting.
Yeah.
Still waiting.
Perfect opportunity for you, my friend, but injury just kind of buried now on the depth chart, seems like.
I think, yeah, I don't know if he's... It's a personal thing, I know. It's like a mental health issue for him, so it's basically up to him when he comes back, so it could be... Who knows? But yeah, it sucks for him because he would have a huge opportunity. They probably wouldn't even have signed Kareem Hunt if Helaire was healthy.
Yeah, but Carson Steele basically pushed their hand on that one.
Yeah.
That guy couldn't get anything done. My number 2 is Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers, out for the season now, and it is struggle city in San Francisco. And a lot of people have been talking about how Brock Purdy's kind of been exposed a little bit as to how much he can carry an entire team without a running game. And that was with Ayuk. Now he doesn't have Ayuk. You got Debo and a struggling 49ers team whose window for a Super Bowl is closing. So it's going to be a lot more rough on the 49ers now if they want to win this championship this year. Luckily for them, Ricky Pearsall's actually come back from his being shot. I was going to say injury, but from being shot and playing very well. But will he be able to slip in where Ayuk plays and provide enough quality receptions to replace Ayuk? I don't know why I keep pausing.
It was very poignant. Yeah, it's funny because when they drafted Pearsall, I think they believed they weren't going to re-sign Ayuk, and then they re-signed him, and it's like, oh, we have this first-round receiver who's now number 3 on the team. And now with Ayuk gone, it's like, no, Pearsall has a chance to step up, and yeah, it should be interesting to see how he does. But the 49ers just completely... They're winning still. I mean, they're, I believe, tied for first in the NFC West, but gosh, they are just a disaster right now.
Are they 4-4 now, or are they still 3-4? No, they have a bye this week, so they got to be 4-4.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the 49ers as well because I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's a pain in the butt, and this is probably more fantasy relevant for people that drafted him in first or second overall and they didn't play a snap. Because the 49ers, Jordan Mason did fine without him. I don't blame the 49ers struggles on not having Christian McCaffrey. It's a lot of other things, but still a pretty big injury because now at this stage of McCaffrey's career and the 49ers facing salary cap problems, I would be curious to see if he doesn't get moved or cut in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, they're in it right now as far as money goes.
Still have to pay Brock Purdy.
Yeah, so that window is closing fast, and to have a season like this is really unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
So, my number 1 is another team that's, I would say, struggling. Maybe not to the level of the 49ers, but they have not looked like the dominant team everyone expected them to be this season. They've looked more like the same team they were last year with better pieces. And that is the Texans. Stephon Diggs is out for the year, so they're right back to a spot they were last year, but missing Noah Brown, only having Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Yeah, Tank Dell and Nico Collins. was hurt. Yeah, so it's really comes down to Tank Dell, who is a slot receiver in my head because of how short he is, and whatever else they got going on. Luckily for them, they have Mixon. But yeah, it's struggle city for the Texans now, trying to figure out who's going to be healthy and who's going to be their second receiver because they're running out of weapons.
Yeah, and it's funny. They have Robert Woods, who started last season off hot. And then they have John Mechie, who they drafted from Alabama a couple years ago. So I'm curious to see if one of them steps up. But yeah, they are definitely struggling. That is for sure.
Yeah, that's why if you're in Sleeper, you see John Mechie shooting up the trending board in your fantasy leagues.
Yeah, exactly. My number one is... It's impactful for a weird reason. It's J.J. McCarthy. And it's not because of what he could have done. Obviously, the Vikings are having a good year. But it's more of what it led to. Because without McCarthy getting hurt, Sam Darnold doesn't get this opportunity to surprise everybody and show that he had fixed himself, basically, and lead them to a, 5-3 record, or what are they? 5-2, 6-2? I don't know. Either way, they're
5-2 because they lost the last two and they were 5-0.
Right, and they had their bye. So yeah, if McCarthy played, I mean, yeah, maybe he does the same. Maybe he does better. Maybe he does worse. Like, it's the unknown is like, who knows what the Vikings season would be like right now if McCarthy hadn't gotten hurt. But Sam Darnold's career he'd have nothing. Now at this point,
it would not have been recharged.
Yeah. Now at this point, it's like, gee, where's Sam Darnold going to start next season? Like, it's pretty crazy.
That's the other crazy part, right? And because it makes me think back to last year when Sam Darnold was on the 49ers. And I remember, and we talked about that on this podcast last year, how glowing the reviews for Sam Darnold were in the preseason for the 49ers, to the point where people actually talked about Sam Darnold being the starter over Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy still hadn't cemented himself as the guy at that point. And the 49ers coaching staff was loving what Sam Darnold was doing so much, and I just could not believe it myself. And then we get what we get with J.J. McCarthy being injured this year, with him playing for the Vikings and playing really, really well. And you got to think back to the 49ers and all that stock I did not put into their words would have been lost because they were obviously correct.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible and good for Sam Darnold. And yeah, man, I'm curious to see what happens with his career after this season, because obviously, I mean, he's not going to want to stay in Minnesota as a backup. No. He's going to want to go somewhere and get a chance to start. So,
but he's still young, and that's the thing, right?
Is,
I understand they used a first round on J.J. McCarthy, but is it possible the Vikings just want to stick with Sam Darnold, or is he on a 1-year deal and he's going to command so much money now that they move on? That's probably the main stickling point, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long of a contract he is, but I would be surprised if the Vikings decide to stick with him after drafting McCarthy. They have to at least give McCarthy a chance, otherwise it's like the Trey Lance situation where they're just like, well, we wasted a first round pick. But,
well, I mean, Dak sat out a game and Trey Lance didn't even start it. So, I mean, they might have been onto something there, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, well, his career's done. All right, let's answer some more questions. Going back. So Jay said he dropped Demario Douglas for Cedric Tillman. I told him that was a good move. Tillman is blowing up. Nathan, Bo Nix or CJ Stroud? That is a great question.
Dude, the Broncos are going crazy right now. It's kind of
and Nix has that rushing ability. Playing the Ravens though. Gosh.
That is something to think about. Who is the other one playing?
They're playing the Jets tomorrow night.
So it was CJ Stroud?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's tough
gosh.
too. Normally I'd say CJ Stroud for sure, but with all his receivers injured, that's tough to say too. You know, if I had thought about
Stroud.
if I had thought about it for the foreplay this week, I would have looked at John Mechie's props. I didn't even think about it.
Super low. Yeah.
Right. I would love to. I would love for John Mechie to win me a foreplay. That would be amazing.
Just play some Mechie foreplay. But Nathan, I'm gonna go CJ Stroud. What do you think, Punk?
Against the Ravens defense, I think CJ Stroud's definitely your best bet. The Jets defense is good, but there's something to be said about a team that is in absolute disarray and falling apart. So,
yeah,
even though the skill is there, is the focus. So,
yeah, agreed. Porygon, who would you start, Sam Darnold or CJ Stroud? I'm gonna go Darnold in that one. I think, especially after losing the Lions, they're gonna want to.
Losing to the Lions, and who did they lose to last week?
Oh, the Rams. Sorry, the Rams. Yeah, last
Lions
Thursday.
And the Rams. They've lost 2 in a row.
I think
playing the lowly Colts and Joe Flacco in a team that's just kind of like trying to figure out what the hell happened this last week. I would definitely take Darnold.
Same. Kilo, start Titans or Cincy defense?
Well, Cincinnati is playing the Raiders. Holy smokes! And then
Titans
who was the other one?
Patriots.
I think I'd take the Bengals defense.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely take Cincy. Jay, I have Williams and Pollard. Any running back sleepers you guys like? Bigsby is my third, but he's slacking. Running back sleepers are tough, man.
They're especially tough right now, for sure.
Yeah. The thing is, like, Tyrone Tracy has been my sleeper all year. I've had him on my roster since the draft, and he's already breaking out. Like, he's not going to be available anywhere.
I would say just like Bucky Irving is no longer a sleeper.
I guess Isaiah Garendo, if he's available, just because Mason might miss some time, and who knows when McCaffrey's coming back.
Yeah. Another one is Ty Chandler. A lot of people don't have Ty Chandler.
I have Ty Chandler.
With, Aaron
Kendre
Jones
Miller
being iffy. Yeah.
I like Kendre Miller in New Orleans too. Alvin Kamara's banged up and hasn't been doing as well as he did the first couple weeks, so maybe not a bad one to stash. Rambo, Garrett Wilson or Pollard at flex? Who the Titans playing? I forget. Patriots. I'd probably go Pollard. Garrett Wilson's the number 2 for the Jets now, and his quarterback is playing like garbage, so I'd probably go Tony Pollard.
Yep.
Eric asks, do you think that T. Higgins will be healthy enough to play on Sunday? Well, here's what I'll say about that. They're playing a team that they should beat up on. I think T. Higgins is want to get in on that, so I think he'll play.
He better play. That's all I'm saying. I know they're playing the Raiders, but 3-5, they need to win. If they continue to pile losses, especially against teams like the Raiders, they will have absolutely no shot this year. And some people have already written them off, but 3-5 is not that bad. So they need to win. So he needs to play, and I think he knows that. So.
Nick Perry, Drake London, or Kareem Hunt at flex this week? I go Drake London. He's been doing really well. Eric, we answered that. Matt Nelson, Dak or Darnold? Darnold. Dak. Yeah.
Dak is just. Dak totally depends on if CeeDee Lamb is making catches that week.
Hayden asks, will Adams score finally? I think he will. I think he will simply because Aaron Rodgers is going to just throw him the ball every chance he can.
Well, I told my buddy at work, who's here in the chat, so I'll bring it up again, that I think this is the week. I think this is the Jets get right game. And I think it has to be, because if it's not, they're just completely going to be a shit show story for the rest of the season.
I think they'll just be a shit show story for the rest of the season. After losing to the Patriots, that to me that was the end of their season. Yeah, but I know Rodgers is going to want Adams to score. Jay, I dropped Tracy for Bigsby. I can switch it back, but I don't know Tracy has concussion. Tracy did get a concussion. I still just, for the remainder of the season, I think he's going to be a big part of the Giants offense. Angel, should I start Tillman and Stevenson? Did you mean or Stevenson? I'd go Tillman.
Or I would go Tillman with the way he played last week. And Jameis Winston is the starter again. So there's a chance that connection continues to grow this week.
I think it will. It's just Tyler. James Conner over Breece Hall. Breece been up and down, especially now with Adams. Yeah, and James Conner's playing the Bears. So, and their defense, at least run defense, is not that good. So I definitely go James Conner.
Playing the Bears and the Cardinals are on a win streak for the first time since 2021. So they have something they are trying to play for. So
yes, but I'll be there Sunday. Their doom is me in person.
Mr. Bad Luck.
Chris, Shakir or Coleman? I still prefer Shakir, but Coleman's been getting more involved. But yeah, I'd probably still go Shakir.
Well, it's crazy because they have Amari Cooper now, and I thought Shakir would be the one that suffered because Coleman is their second-round rookie. And Shakir had over 20 points last week, despite Cooper being there. So I think Shakir is the most, even possibly over Amari Cooper right now. I think Shakir is the most solid fantasy receiver on the Bills right now.
No. Agreed. Anubis, he called me buddy. Oh, that must be your buddy from work.
That is.
He also said Jets better win. Luke, Devonta, Bucky, or Tillman this week. I like Tillman. He's the number one in Cleveland. They're gonna throw a lot, especially in a PPR. I'd go with Tillman. All right, let's move on to the news.
All right, news it up.
So we mentioned this when we talked about injuries, but Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk, both out for the season. Deontay Johnson got traded to the Ravens. DeAndre Hopkins got traded to the Chiefs. I think that happened after we did the pod last week.
Yeah.
And then Cam Robinson traded to the Vikings to replace their left tackle who got hurt.
Who do you think of those two wide receivers traded? So their last week it was Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams. This week it's Deontay Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins. Which of the two this week do you think will have a bigger impact?
Well, Hopkins already played on Sunday, didn't he? And he didn't do much.
Did he?
I thought he did.
I didn't watch the Chiefs game, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, Deontay Johnson's a good receiver. He's a good number 2 in Baltimore. So I think he'll have the bigger impact. I don't think it's going to be a lot of impacts, but I think he'll have the bigger one. Hopkins is, at this point in his career, he's just a name.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's see. He had 2 catches for 29 yards last week.
Yeah.
See, my thing with the Ravens and Deontay Johnson. First off, I've always liked Deontay Johnson. I feel like he's a lot like. I sometimes get him and Pittman from the Colts confused because they are just 2 guys that can be high volume reception guys. Maybe they get 70 yards. But they got it on 8 receptions, Both the same type of guys. I feel like you're going to get a lot of production out of him because Lamar always seems to find the wide open guy, even if maybe sometimes he doesn't hit them. So I think Deontay Johnson's going to have a lot of chances for a lot of big games. Because I can't. Who else is there? Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, so they don't really have a wide receiver guy.
Yeah, they have Rashad Bateman, who hasn't really panned out. The Ravens are a running team, so I wouldn't want the third option on like in fantasy wise. They've got Andrews is still their one or two. Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson is now the third option on a running team. So for me, I'm like, cool. I'm not starting him every week.
Yeah.
Speaking of not starting, Anthony Richardson got benched, not injured, just benched because he took himself out of the game for being sleepy.
And the national media loves this because it has turned into the story of the week, talking about if he'll ever play there again and if he gets traded at the end of the season.
Well, and I don't think he's going to get traded. I think this is more of a Joe, and the coach said it today. It's like they're 4-4. Joe Flacco gives them the better chance to win, and that's just true. So, give Anthony Richardson some more time to develop, and maybe he plays again later this season. Maybe he starts next year.
In my opinion, that is a damnation of Anthony Richardson. 3 years ago, Joe Flacco, everyone wrote him completely off as a guy who couldn't play anymore. Now, young quarterback who's been given the keys to the kingdom can't keep him from nipping at his heels. I don't know. That's kind of sad.
Well, that's Anthony Richardson's own fault for not playing better.
Well, one of the other things I've heard all week is about the fact that he only ever started 18 games in college, and he wasn't even that good in college. So it was this is what happens when you draft for potential, not for proven statistic.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's, he was drafted because he's athletic, and they everybody bought into the hype. He's really fast. He's big. He can throw the ball really far. I mean, that's Jamarcus Russell style. Like, oh, look how athletic he is. Okay, but can he play in that position? Like, so I don't know if they'll completely give up on him, but it does. And it's funny. Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson in their second year in the league both already are like, well, you might as well just cut him. Like, that's how bad they look. But so did Dwayne Haskins. The Commanders cut him.
Rarefied air, right? Just throw. They got the Heisman house. They need the second year cut quarterback house, and the face of that house needs to be Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen, Trey Lance, Dwayne Haskins, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young. There are so many busted quarterbacks in like the last 8 to 10 years. Like first round, just Kenny Pickett. Just absolute busts. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Exactly.
Jordan Love day-to-day with a groin injury. I think he plays on Sunday. That's no issue.
If he doesn't, good luck against the Lions.
Yeah. Drake May suffered a concussion. I haven't heard anything else about that. I don't know if he's going to miss time, just that he missed that game or part of that game.
That's the best part about that game last week. Oh, I raised my hands, and now it's going to follow me with the camera. Drake May gets a concussion, goes out, and my pick of the Patriots still wins with the backup.
Yep.
Brissett, is it Brissett? Who was it?
Jacoby Brissett, yeah.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett comes in, finishes off the game that Drake May started, and they still beat the Jets. Like, my pick was completely based on Drake May being their quarterback. It didn't matter. The Patriots still wanted to beat the Jets, and they did. So.
Good pick. All right. Let's check chat for some more questions. Angel, do I start Adams or Hill as my secondary? Definitely Tyreek Hill. Luke, I don't know if I could bench Devontae Smith for Tillman. Isn't Elijah Moore doing good? Yeah, but Tillman, the last 2 games after they traded Amari, he's been the clear number 1 option. But I get it. Devontae Smith is Devontae Smith. You never know what the Eagles are going to do. They are playing the Jags, so they could be a shootout. You got to make the decision, man. I would go with Tillman, but I'm a risk taker. Trevor says Burrow or Love this week. Burrow. Even if Love plays, he's playing the Lions. That's gonna be rough. Logan, rate team: Justin Herbert, Flacco, Devon, Chubb, Jamar, AJ Brown, Auten, Saints, D, and Aubrey. 10-man. That's a heck of a team, man.
It's a 10-man league, but you're starting Flacco with Herbert? Is it a 2-quarterback league, or is Flacco just the backup?
I'm assuming it's 2-quarterback.
If it's 2-quarterback in a 10-man league, I would assume there's got to be someone better than Flacco out there, right?
Well, not if you went running back and receiver early. Quarterbacks fly off the board in two QB leagues.
10-man league, 2-quarterback,
Eric,
that's 20. You got a 1 backup. Yeah, okay. I got you. Flacco's
Eric says Kyler or Caleb. Kyler. Hudson, Zay Flowers, or Tay Adams. I'd go Flowers. They got a pretty easy matchup. He should eat. Gabe the Babe says, "Yo, what's good? What's up, Gabe?" Bub Means. That's awesome. Hi, Bub Means. Start 3 this week.
Hey,
Amon-Ra,
Bub's
McLaurin.
here.
Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Olave, or Josh Downs. Well, Amon-Ra, McLaurin are obvious starts. And I'd probably go with Olave if Carr is back, which he should be.
I was going to say, because Josh Downs has had some incredible games with Flacco.
Yes, but they have more options in Indy, which worries me. The New Orleans really just has Olave.
Not to mention, when you play Josh Downs, there's 2 things to expect. 1, that he'll probably get like 80 yards. 2, that he'll get those 80 yards on 1 or 2 catches. So you're not going to get PPR. You're not going to get reception points from Josh Downs.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd go Olave. No Name says McBride or Njoku McBride. Every week start McBride. Kincaid or Hawkinson. If Hawkinson plays, I would want to play Hawkinson. Shakir or
prelude
Pittman
to my
this
fantasy segment. Hawkinson should be playing this week.
Nice. Shakir or Pittman. I still like Shakir against the Dolphins. High scoring game. Chat just reloaded. Love or Knicks. DeAndre Swift for Jalen Waddle. No, I wouldn't do that. Bo Nix or Stafford. Oof. Stafford, he's got all his weapons.
Yeah, all his weapons are back. And Stafford had almost a 40-point game last week. Stafford is back. Unless those guys get hurt again, you can count on Stafford for points.
Kyron and DJ Moore for Jay Jettas. Yes, I would do that. Njoku or Ingram this week and rest of season. Ingram, because they lost Christian Kirk, so he's going to see even more targets. If Higgins... That's going too fast. If Higgins sits, Chubb, Sutton, or Myers at flex. Chubb. Bo Nix or Stafford. I think we answered that. Stroud or my grandmother. I'm going to go Stroud.
What's her 40 time? What's your grandma's 40 time?
We got to see her bench. DeAndre Swift for Jalen Waddle. We answered that. Reed or Sutton. Reed.
Sutton, sits, 2 games ago, Sutton didn't even get a target. I have no trust in Sutton.
Yeah, neither do I. Kagan, start 1. Cooper, Flowers, D-Hop, or Devontae Smith. Probably Flowers.
I'd pick Smith, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean either one. That's the 2 that I just like. I think Flowers is having a pretty good season in Baltimore. And the Eagles.
I was going to say, I feel like the Eagles are more passing than rushing team, even with Saquon. As far as the Ravens go, they are definitely a rushing team. Like you
thoughts
said.
On Deontay? I already gave my thoughts on Deontay. To me, he's the 3rd option in Baltimore. So, I mean, I wouldn't drop him, but I wouldn't also be wanting to start him.
He's one of those guys where if you have him, don't play him this week. and see, look at his targets. Don't look at his snap share percentage and look at his targets. Don't look at his stats because those can be deceiving as far as what he actually caught and what he didn't, what his yardage was. But look how many plays he plays, how long he's on the field, and then look at how many targets he gets. And then make a decision next week based on that, not on his output this week, because then he'll have had a whole week of practice with the team, and he'll know what he's doing. You know what I mean? So
drop Chuba for ETN or Rachaad White for rest of season.
So you're asking whether to drop Chuba or Rachaad White for ETN?
No, drop Chuba for ETN or Rachaad White. I would keep Chuba. I don't like either one of those. Trade Tillman for Pittman? No. Pittman's just disappearing in Indy. Kagan, do you know when Rashee Rice is coming back? 2025. John, PPR guy giving me AK and Zay for Deontay, Tillman, and Monty. Just worried about AK injuries.
AK's not injured. He's benched, and nobody knows if he's even going to start again. With no, that's AR. Who's AK? Okay, I was like, wait a minute, you're going to trade for Anthony Richardson? What the hell are you talking about? I was thinking AR-15, but there's also AK, like the gun. I was thinking guns completely with those.
John, I wouldn't make that trade because I wouldn't give up Monty for anything.
Who's AK?
Alvin Kamara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that trade. Keep Monty. Tillman's a good receiver. Yeah, I wouldn't make that trade, John.
Yeah, I think you're better off with Tillman on the rise, Monty, who's a beast, even in a two-back system, and then Deontay, you still don't know yet what he's going to be. So,
yeah.
All right, last one, Marv Jr. or Ladd McConkey. Marv is playing who the Cardinals got this week? They got the Bears, and the Chargers are playing the Browns. I would probably go with Ladd because he's gone crazy the past few weeks. And honestly, I still don't believe that, despite a big game from Marv last week, that he's going to string multiple together. And until he does, I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah, and the Bears do have a good secondary. So I'd go McConkey. All right, let's dive in. So our Week 8 review, starting with our Thor play from last Thursday. Both of us hit 3 out of 4 legs. I missed on the Vikings money line, and you pushed because TJ Hawkinson did not play.
I'm saying I didn't lose anything. I just somehow didn't make anything.
I brought this up last week. I was wondering how FanDuel was going to handle that.
Well, I use Caesars. And in the past, I've had a situation where one of mine got voided, and it just turned into a 3-leg parlay. This time they decided that it was not going to be a 3-leg parlay, and they were just going to give me my money back. Super annoying. So I have still only won one Thursday night foreplay in the history of the podcast. Could have had it then. And I do still believe that if he had played, he would have had under 24.5 yards.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you stayed away from any injured people this week. So my foreplay for tomorrow night. Out. Yeah. I'm going with Breece Hall, 50-plus rushing yards. Garrett Wilson, 50-plus receiving yards. Aaron Rodgers, 2-plus passing touchdowns. And Joe Mixon, 60-plus rushing yards. And that is all based on the fact that I'm playing against all of those people in various fantasy leagues. So.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, see, what you've got going there speaks to my get right game. So there you go. I, on the other hand, I kept going with the rush receiving mixture because that worked well for me last week. So I have Joe Mixon, 110.5 yards rushing receiving yards over for him. And I went and looked at his game log. He's done that every game except for one. So looking good there. I went under on receiving yards for Breece Hall at 30.5, which is also a thing he's done every game but 2. And the 2 that he went over were in the 30 yards. You didn't go over 40 yards. So we're hoping for that one there. I have over 40 points because I think both of these teams are going to be scoring. And I have a Joe Mixon anytime touchdown. All that gets me to plus 460, which also gets me the plus 100% bonus. So that's why I did it. And you can almost bet that every time mine is going to be over plus 400 because of the boosts they give you. Or else I would be going plus 100 just to win a foreplay on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I always do plus 400 because FanDuel does the no sweat bet. So that way I basically get my money back.
Yep.
Yeah, we shall see what happens. All right, so diving into Week 8 review, starting last Thursday, Vikings-Rams.
Say review again?
Yeah. You can still tell my voice is still rough and screaming.
Still having trouble after that Commanders game.
Vikings lost to the Rams, the little Lions hangover.
Dude, it's real. I showed you the stats, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
This season, every team, the week after they've played the Lions, they're 0-5.
Pretty amazing.
Could be
the Titans. Yeah.
Could be 0-7 after this week because the Cowboys haven't played since they played the Lions because they had a bye week. And the Titans.
Yeah, they did. They played the 49ers.
Did they?
Yeah, Sunday night.
I thought they had the bye week last week. No one had a bye week last week. All right, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's 0-6 now.
There you go.
It just keeps going.
Cardinals get the upset over the Dolphins, which they apparently love to do this year, and are in first place in their division somehow. Didn't see that coming. Patriots beat the Jets. We talked about that. That was a hell of a upset pick by you. Our little underdog bonus.
Hey, I'm glad I put that underdog on that game. I got the double up on you on that one.
Yeah, except you missed your bonus on the Dolphins.
Yeah, way to go, Cardinals.
Eagles beat the Bengals. Bengals, neither one looking that great this year, and the Bengals look just a little worse.
I think the Eagles
Packers.
are finally starting to come around. Those words were hard to string together.
They're not really blowing me away at all this season. I expect more.
Well, the thing about this season is nobody has to blow you away because there are very few teams that are blowing anyone away. Okay, like name a few teams. Name more than 4 teams that are blowing you away with the way they've played this year.
Bills, Ravens.
Bills are blowing you away? They've lost some really shitty games.
Lions. Vikings were up until the Rams game.
I can see the Bills now. I'm thinking of weeks ago where they were like 4-2. They won 3 in a row.
No, they're doing great. Who else?
Who are the ones you've said so far? The Bills? I heard
Bills,
the Lions.
Ravens, Lions.
Ravens. See, the Ravens aren't it for me either because they lose. That game they lost to the Chiefs, absolutely terrible. The game they just lost to the Browns, absolutely terrible. So you get to the point where you're like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too critical. The Ravens are very good, but that game was terrible last week.
See, the thing is, like, everybody, I give everybody credit for 1 or 2 bad games, like the Lions and the Bucks game. I mean, the Lions are still blowing me away, even though they should have won that game clearly. Well, the Chiefs aren't really blowing me away as much as it's just an inevitability that they're going to win. It's just one of those like, oh, Chiefs win, whatever. Oh yeah, there's some dominant teams. There are a lot of middle of the pack teams for sure. Like the NFC West, I still have no clue who's going to win it. Like at this point, even the Rams could come up and do it. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, that is a division. That is the NFC South of this year. The way they're playing.
Yeah, that's just up for grabs. Packers beat the Jags. Jordan Love missed some of the game. I don't know how much he missed, but Malik Willis has already won games for them, so I'm sure they're not concerned. Falcons, Bucks. Falcons get the win. Looking like they might start to run away with that division now.
We're 8 games in, and it's what I thought was going to happen this season is actually kind of a reality at this point, and I'm glad that I picked him up. But Darnell Mooney I thought he was going to be a star for the Bears, and when I saw that he was randomly picked up as the number 2 guy in Atlanta, I thought I had hopes for him again because I just feel like he should be a good receiver, and he has been playing very well this season. And he had a good game this week as well.
Yeah, Drake London, Kyle Pitts are starting to come along. Like they're starting to get their offense going quite well.
What was first game ever? Kyle Pitts has 2 touchdowns this week.
Was it?
All right, we haven't talked about this at all yet. Can we just never talk about National Tight Ends Day again? And I know you were. I know you were at a game, so you didn't watch as many games on television as I did. Literally every other sentence all day long was about National Tight Ends Day. First off, it's not a real holiday. Shut up. Second off, it's so annoying. Stop talking about National Tight Ends Day.
Did George Kittle make it up?
Somebody made it up. It's just a thing that caught on. And now Sunday Night Football has a belt that they give out on National Tight Ends Day. It's like, what's the Fletch quote? Stop trying to make Fletch a thing.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make this a thing. The only reason I brought it up is because you think that they were trying to give Pitts his time on National Tight Ends Day.
Well, I do know that a lot of tight ends scored on National Tight Ends Day.
Well, the Lions were 1 pass away from having 3 tight ends with a touchdown in their game.
I wonder if teams are doing it on purpose. Maybe they love the holiday and only you hate it.
I hate it so much. And maybe it's I don't hate it as a thing. I hate them mentioning it every other sentence.
Oh, Ravens, Browns. Browns get the surprise upset with Jameis Winston. Be curious to see if he can keep playing at that level. Because right now the Steelers lead that division, which is crazy.
Well, I have heard that they have bought him a season supply of crab legs.
That's good.
To help him. So that should keep him
on
track.
Eat all those crabs and W's. That's his mainstay diet. Eat the dubs and eat the crabs.
There you
go. Texans, Colts. Colts get the win, but lose to Stephon Diggs, which sucks for them. And Anthony Richardson takes himself out because he was tired, which is pretty funny. Lions, Titans. Lions destroy a bad team. I mean, I don't really have much to talk about. You can talk about whatever you want to.
Yeah, so this was a weird game. This is one of those games where they try to do everything they can to prove that they can win in all 3 facets of the game, because Khalif Raymond almost set the record for punt return yards. He only needed 19 more to set the punt return record. Khalil Dorsey had an 80-yard kickoff return. The special teams carried this game. At halftime, Jared Goff didn't even have 100 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. And it was just a weird statistical game where somehow Goff didn't make it to 200 yards, but they had 52 points. There was so much going on in this game. It was just one of those statistical anomaly games where they still managed to absolutely destroy the other team. Not to mention David Montgomery, who was a quarterback in high school, throwing the perfect spiral to Sam Laporta on another week of trick plays, was just as a Lions fan, it made me happy to see. It's so fun to see what kind of trick play they're going to run this week. And the best part is that the Lions run trick plays, and they work. I watch all these other games throughout the week or the weekend and watch these plays not work, and I just wonder, how is it that somehow the Lions make all of these things work week to week?
Nice.
So...
All right. Chargers beat the Saints. No surprise. Bills beat the Seahawks. Continuing the
Saints,
case of which...
In that Saints game, important note, benched Spencer Rattler and went with, I think, Jake Hayner. Jake
Hayner.
Yeah. So Spencer Rattler, you had your chance. You've lost it. And Derek Carr should be back this week. So Spencer... Sorry, bro. You blew it.
Yeah, I didn't look as good in the season as he did in the preseason. But
yeah, that's for sure.
Bills beat the Seahawks. Never know which Seahawks team's going to show up. I'm going to go Panthers, Broncos. Broncos beat up on the worst team in the league. Chiefs, Raiders. Chiefs beat up on the second worst team in the league. 49ers, Cowboys. 49ers beat up on the third worst team in the league. I don't know what to tell you. Those are boring games. Steelers beat the Giants. Like those were all pretty basic, easy outcomes. I don't think anybody was surprised by any of those.
So I don't know why I just yelled. I've had a few beers. I'm enjoying myself. I want to look at the primetime games this week.
Careful, you're going to get us banned on TikTok.
I want to look at the primetime games this week, right? I've been talking about how boring primetime games are. So we'll go work from the end backwards. Giants Steelers, didn't watch it. Didn't have time. 26-13, I think it was. Didn't look that exciting. Though the two teams I think I would have liked to watch. 49ers Cowboys, boring. That one was not very exciting. And then you move back to the Vikings and the Rams. The Vikings-Rams game on Thursday night is the type of primetime game I've been hoping for the entire season. I really hope going forward we get more of that than what we've been getting. And I don't have high hopes because tomorrow the Jets play. So I don't know what to say about that. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I'm sure before the season started, Cowboys 49ers was supposed to be a classic matchup. But the Cowboys have just been bad this year.
Well, who would have thought both of them would be bad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, well, the one game I didn't talk about because I want to save it for last was Bears-Commanders because I was there. And I'm not going to say too much about the game because, frankly, it was boring up until the last 53 seconds. The Bears offense looked terrible against one of the worst secondaries in the league. Caleb Williams was missing open receivers and jittery and looked bad. And the Commanders kept stalling in the red zone. Had Zach Ertz drop a touchdown that maybe it was a touchdown. I don't know. I was fine. They called it incomplete. It did touch the ground. Then there was one called back. Zacchaeus scored. They got called back for some bullshit penalties. There were a lot of bullshit penalties in that game too. It was rough. But the atmosphere, like being at the stadium, was awesome because these are two fan bases that have no animosity towards each other. I go to a lot of Cardinals games, and there are a lot of Cowboys and Seahawks fans that, I'm sorry, everybody in chat, but most of you are assholes. And I hate going to those games. This was a game where we had Bears fans around us, and they're joking, they're having fun. Like it was a good atmosphere. And then the end, I've never experienced a Hail Mary from that side of it working out. And it was just one of those moments to where I'm sitting there, and we were in the end zone behind Jaden, so like we were watching everything happen. So I'm watching him scramble, and I'm just sitting thinking to myself, like, all right, like this is pointless. There's no way in hell this is gonna work out. And then when he caught it, I literally it's 3 days now, and I still have a gravelly voice because I was screaming so loud. And I'm hugging complete strangers. Like it was amazing. Like yeah. It was amazing.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I saw
Especially
the picture of you at the game. You had your Commander stuff on, so you were dressed for the occasion. Was your
absolutely.
dad hugging people in his Bears stuff?
He was after they scored the go-ahead touchdown with like a minute left.
There were Bears people around for him to hug?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there were. There was a good amount of Bears fans, actually. So it was not. And the thing is, and I've seen people talk, of course, Bears fans, I'll say, there was holding on the Hail Mary. Yeah, and Jalen Johnson tackled Terry McLaurin. It's a Hail Mary. It's basically a backyard play. They don't call penalties.
When a fumble happens and there's a scrum, basically, and you never see what happens under that scrum?
Yeah, it's dirty shit.
Think of a Hail Mary as that, but you can see everything.
It's basically just do whatever you guys want. If you can actually complete the pass, we're going to call it a touchdown. We're not going to throw a flag on a Hail Mary. And then Tyreek Stevenson. I actually think Tyreek Stevenson is a good corner. I like he was a rookie last year. He played well, but
I mean, I don't think he's a bad corner. I think he's a knucklehead.
It was an immature thing to do, and that's the worst part of it too. Is like, listen, if you want to sit there and jaw with the fans, fine. I'm in the stands. I'll yell at you if you want to yell back. Cool. The play started. It's 60 yards away from you, and you're not paying attention. Okay, that's a bad look, bro. Then to ignore your job, which his job on that play was to cover Noah Brown and box him out. To ignore that and run over and try to tip the ball like you want to be the hero, and you're actually what caused them to lose the game. Oh, I actually feel bad for him. That dude, he has got to feel as low as you possibly can after that shit.
I hope that's true.
I have to imagine. Can you imagine the locker room? They I know there's no bullying in NFL locker rooms, but somebody whipped him with a wet towel. I have to imagine somebody hit him with a wet towel. Just you spin it up. What do they call it?
Had a sock filled with soap.
That was a bad look, man. That was a bad look. I don't care if you want to talk shit with the fans. That's fine. But when the play starts, do your job.
You need to be facing the play, ready to go when it starts, not with your back to the play when the receivers are 20 yards down the field. That's when you turn around and realize that you should be playing football. Yeah. That the game's not over.
If that's when you realize it, cool. Go cover your man. Why are you're ignoring your position on that play to go be the hero, and you're leaving. And it's so funny to me to hear everybody talk about it, because it's there's always the guy in the front and the guy in the back, and we tip the ball up. Hopefully the guy in the back catches it. It's everybody knows how a Hail Mary works, and yet every time they do, it's because the person in the back was left open. Just someone cover him. But anyways, it was an incredible ending. We're 6-2. It's pretty magical. It's.
Can you get the questions while I use the bathroom?
Yeah. Before we move on to our picks, let's check questions. Wesley, start Mayfield, Mahomes, or Goff? Goff is playing. Why am I playing the Packers? Yeah, definitely go Goff. That's gonna be they're gonna put up points. Emmanuel, I traded Jonathan Taylor for Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper, and Nick Chubb. Yeah, I don't hate that trade. I think Jacobs and Chubb are two good running backs. Amari Cooper should be good. Soldier Boy, need your input. Struggle if I flex. Tank Dell, Josh Downs, and Brian Robinson Jr. I go Tank Dell. He's the only man left in Houston. Naeem, should I give up CD and Madison for Mixon and Mooney? Ooh. I would do that if you need a running back like Mixon. Yeah, I would probably do that, actually. Yeah, I like Mixon. I would do that trade. Andrew, start Bo Nix or Dak Prescott. I have CD Lamb. I'd have to go Dak. That's a rough one, but yeah, I'd have to go Dak. Trade Amon-Ra, Saquon, and Hunt for Mixon, Nico, and Dobbins. No. Amon-Ra and Saquon are too good. Keep them both. Brian Robinson, Mason, and Waddle for CD. Young, if you're getting Brian Robinson, Mason, and Waddle, yes, I would not give them up for CD. Sean, start J.K. Dobbins or Tank Dell. Tank Dell's the only thing left in Houston for CJ Stroud to throw to. Shalom, would you trade Ramondre and Deontay Johnson for Jonathan Taylor? Yeah, I would do that trade. Kagan, Bears don't have a good secondary last Sunday. Yeah, they really don't. But, I mean, they have a talented secondary. I don't know. I honestly thought the Commanders could have done more passing. The play calling was a little conservative for me. Dylan, start Tillman or Flowers. Flowers. Ravens have a pretty easy matchup. Nate Lee, start 2. Tillman, Tyreek, Olave, or Neighbors. Tyreek for sure. Tua back, always start Tyreek. Not a question about that. Tillman, Olave, or Neighbors. The thing is, Neighbors ate up the Commanders in week 2. I think he's going to do it again. So I would go Neighbors and Tyreek. Marcello, Chubb, or Hunt? Chubb. I'd go Chubb. D1, trying to trade Reed and Tillman and Chubb for Neighbors. Wait, you're trying to trade all 3? No. Tillman's on the rise. Chubb's a good running back. I like Jalen Reed. I would not make that trade. Keep your 3. I traded Jonathan Taylor. I think I already answered that one. I think we're caught up, actually. Dylan, Keon or Tillman at flex? Tillman. Coleman's the third option in Buffalo. Yeah, D1. I already have Cup, Tyreek, and Scary Terry, though. Oh, damn. Okay. Damn. Okay, well, if you're loaded, then... still, yeah. Well, you don't even need Neighbors, then.
Yeah. Why would you trade
for are you trading 3? Are you trading the 3 to get Neighbors, or do you have Neighbors and are trading him to get those 3 players? Kenny Murphy, Chubb, Dowdle, White, or Irving? I always go Chubb, man. He's Nick Chubb. Like I would. He
is coming up for sure. Especially now that Jameis Winston is pulling people back with the passing game. It's funny because if you can run, you open the passing game, right? But if you can pass, you open the run game as well. And that is happening now with Jameis Winston. And Chubb is in his 3rd game, should be doing very well.
D1 says I'm trying to trade 4 Neighbors.
D1, are you a Giants fan? Like, is that the reason? Because the Giants are not.
I mean, here's the thing. It's not a bad. Like, if you don't need Nick Chubb, there's the thing. Like, if you have running backs too, because I saw you said you have Cup, Tyreek, and Scary Terry at receiver. So you're a very solid receiver. If you don't need Nick Chubb and you want to make that trade, I mean, I'm fine with it. I just don't think you need to. Where are you going to play Neighbors? K9 and Saquon from Arby's. God damn, that's a good team. I mean, at that point, you're just playing with house money. Might as well do it. If you want to do it,
do it.
That team's so loaded. I mean, you might as well. Like, if you want Neighbors, go get him. I think Neighbors. Hasn't been as good the last couple weeks after the concussion, but I mean, he's going to get back on track. So,
and this is a afterthought that probably isn't the truth. If it's a keeper league, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if it's a keeper league,
if you're going to be able to keep Neighbors at a low draft spot, that's huge, especially because he should be really good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would make the trade. Why not? I think we answered everything.
There's one more.
Neighbors, DK Burrow for JJ Downs and Hurt. Yeah, I would like to have the Justin Jefferson, Josh Downs, Jalen Hurts side. That's the side I would prefer.
I agree. You've got you're going forward. You're probably on 3 better teams on that side.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson or Amari Cooper. I'd go Amari Cooper. Like I said, Deontay Johnson to me is the 3rd option there. Amari Cooper is either 1 or 2, but Buffalo also plays Miami. Should be a high-scoring game. All right, let's get into our picks. So last week,
do it.
You went 13-4. I went 12-5. So you gained one on me.
We gloss over this every week, but these numbers are insane.
Yeah,
13-4, 12-5.
Well, in the beginning of the season, it was a little rougher because there were a lot of weird outcomes. But the last couple of weeks have
now that we've know what these teams are kind of like it's kind of crazy.
I actually, in my confidence pool, I got second place last week, and the one that really killed me was the Ravens. But everybody got that wrong, so I ended up getting second place, $160. Not too shabby. But
nice.
I like to. I don't know if you do this, but I usually go on and do a little parlay of the games I'm most confident in and put like $1 on it. And it's been hitting the last couple of weeks.
Dude, I should have put some money down on that Patriots pick last week.
I can't believe you didn't. Yeah, man, called that.
Like, I didn't. I've been so bad on bets lately that I don't have a lot of money in my thing, so I just have not made a lot of bets. Man,
but you know what you should be confident in is just straight up picking winners, because that's what you're killing it at on here.
You're right.
So like props and stuff, rough, but just straight picking winners, man. You should be putting some money down.
I agree. I need to figure that out.
I was thirsty.
All
right, so let's dive on in. So this week buys are 49ers and Steelers. Tomorrow night's game, starting it off, Texans at Jets. Jets by 1.5.
And I've already said this multiple times. I think the Jets get right game, so I'm taking the Jets.
Taking the Jets. I don't believe in the Jets, but
I don't believe in
the Texans have one receiver basically, and CJ Stroud has been struggling this season compared to last season. So I'm going to go with the Jets as well. I called the Jets to make the playoffs. That was one of my picks. They're obviously not now. But I do think they are going to win one or two more games. So why not one in prime time, just so that the talking heads can talk about Aaron Rodgers some more.
There you go.
All right. Patriots at Titans. Titans by 3.5.
What? What is the spread? Is Drake May playing?
I have no idea. I have not heard a thing about.
Is Will Levis playing? Who's the? I don't even remember.
Mason
Rudolph played against the Lions. Give me the Patriots again. The Titans are bad.
I'm confused by that line. Yeah.
Why? I don't know whether it's 3.5 for the Titans.
Yeah.
I know the Patriots are bad. Too. You can look at any other team that they play. I understand them being the underdog. The Titans are worse than the Patriots.
Well, and this is coming off of the Patriots beating the Jets and the Titans getting blown out by the Lions, and they're still favoring the Titans. Yeah, I'm going with the Patriots.
And Mason Rudolph was banged up in that game. Okay, I'll still take the Patriots.
I don't know.
What is the Patriots record, by the way? Because I think the over-under was 6 that I picked them. Oh, they're 2 wins. I thought they had 3. I'm like, man, they might still get over 6, like I said.
No, they're still garbage.
I thought they won their first 2 games.
No, they won their first game.
They were just competitive in those games.
They beat the Bengals week 1 and surprised everybody, and then they lost 6 straight.
It's the lovable Patriots.
Saints at Panthers. Saints by 7.5.
If Derek Carr is back, I think the Saints win. If Derek Carr is not back, I think the Saints win.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too is that the Panthers said Bryce Young's going to start even though Andy Dalton's healthy. So they're just flip-flopping back and forth. It's ridiculous.
No.
Broncos at Ravens. Ravens by 9.5.
The Ravens just lost to the Browns. They are not going to let the Broncos, no matter how good they have shown themselves to be, beat them.
Yeah, Ravens, obviously. Raiders at Bengals. Bengals by 7.5.
Raiders are going to
All right.
lose.
Nope, too loud. You said Raiders. That's what I'm writing. That's what I'm typing down. Yeah, and Bengals. Those are some pretty easy ones. Here's a good one. Chargers at Browns. Chargers by 1.5.
This immediately went to the homer in me as a former San Diego resident to say the Chargers, but the Browns played really well with Jameis Winston as their quarterback. And the Chargers, you know what? Give me the Chargers and give me 2 Lad McConkey touchdowns.
Chargers and Mr. McConkey.
Yeah. What a name. Lad McConkey.
I'm going Chargers too. I think Jim Harbaugh will shut down Jameis Winston. Cool. So Chargers. I'm going to take a break, answer some questions because we're getting a bunch in the chat.
All right.
Let's go back here. Kevin Durant, welcome, Mr. Durant, says, will CMC play next week? I don't think so. D1, is it worth trading for Gibbs if I already have K9 and Saquon? Oh, well, shit, yeah, if you can get them. Why not? I'm sure you have a flex position.
Wait, what was the first question you answered?
Will CMC play next week?
Okay, so we didn't get... No, we did get that one. Okay, you're good.
Yeah. The name is Lincoln. I just traded Pitts, Worthy, Chase Brown for James Cook and Drake London. Good trade. As long as you had another tight end, I would say yes.
Any trade involving a tight end in the top 5 as far as scoring goes, you have to have had a second tight end that is even close, because other than that, there's no good tight ends. Tight end is a wasteland unless you have the guys that are scoring well that season.
Yeah. Austin, start 2. Wilson, Puka, and Brian Robinson need 1 wide receiver and a flex.
Puka.
Well, I would go Puka as your receiver and Brian Robinson as your flex.
We completely agree. Those are the 2 I would pick.
And okay, so this person agrees, whose name is the emoji of a devil mascot.
The devil mask emoji, he knows what he's talking about.
Yes, we agree with devil mask.
Or she.
Jackie Spies, Bucky Irving or Kate Otten in flex. No tight end spot. Ooh, that's interesting.
No tight end spot. I feel like I know I know a league that's about to happen in.
Yes, everyone that I run. I would go Kate Otten, especially with them missing all their receivers. I know it's weird to play a tight end over a running back, but
Kate Otten did really well last week. With Godwin hurt and Mike Evans banged up, Kate Otten is a massive target for Baker Mayfield. So I agree, and I really like Bucky Irving, but I feel like Kate Otten's gonna have another good week.
Agreed. D1, I had a trade going of Reed and Scary Terry for Gibbs, but it glitched and didn't work. Okay.
What? That is really sad.
Yeah, that would be a good trade. Especially, man, your bench is... How many teams is that league? Because that is a ridiculously deep bench.
What's your record, D1? Like, you got to be the league leader, right?
Noah, I have Geno, Gibbs, Kamara, DK Jefferson, Bowers, Najee, and Kyron Williams. I think you mentioned that earlier, Noah. If you're looking for a grade, I give you a B+ simply because I don't trust Geno that much, but I love everybody else.
Devil Mask says Otten's going to play better. If he plays better than he did last week, he'll play himself into a top 5 tight end. And I saw that last year. Kate Otten looked like a great... Kate Otten, if I remember correctly, Kate Otten was there when Brady was there, right? And I remember...
Yeah, he was like the backup, I think.
So I remember saying back then I thought Kate Otten looked good. So I
D1
agree.
says it's a 12-man. I'm 7-1 first place. Yeah, with that game, I'd imagine. Now, I'll give you, honestly, my thought. You're 7-1. I wouldn't necessarily want to blow up my team by doing a bunch of trades. Like if you're 7-1 and you got a deep bench, I kind of want to just roll with it. Like, the team's working. Personally, I wouldn't want to mess with anything and risk, if somebody gets hurt on Sunday, all of a sudden, your team looks completely different. But maybe one or two trade, isn't bad, but, you got a good team, you're 7-1. Don't mess with perfection. That's what they say.
No.
Noah says, I started with Stroud, but he ain't it. True. I'm 6-2 in second. Yeah, it's a hell
To
of
which
a
I
lineup.
replied, I could see being conflicted between Stroud and Geno at this point.
Yeah, it's like Stroud, it's a shame that he's lost all. I mean, Geno can have good games, but the Seahawks, if you look at the Seahawks this season, they have been so inconsistent. It's crazy.
Well, it's funny because Stroud isn't playing badly, but I mean, it's just he's not top 5, playing as a top 5 guy this season.
He's playing a little worse than last year, which is a shame. But he was so good last year that, I mean, it's like,
well,
I think people just expected him to take a step in year 2, and instead it's like, oh, he's not doing as good.
But here's the thing, really. Look, I just quickly brought it up. 1,900 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Very good stats. When you go, 12 weeks without an interception last week in his rookie season, everyone sees 4 interceptions, which really isn't that many, as a step back. So,
yeah, that's what I mean. He's a step back from last year, but that's because he was so good last year that it's like ruining everybody's opinion.
Yeah.
D1, I got Daniels, K9, Saquon, Tyreek, Kupp, Scary Terry, Reed, Kelsey, and Chubb, Hopkins, Waddle. Damn. You got Daniels and Scary Terry. Commanders. I'm telling you, man.
The double up on Scary Terry, who's finally good this year.
Honestly, I give that an A. That is, I do not see a weak link on that team.
No.
Especially with Tua back and Tyreek Hill's going to be having better games. Yeah. No, so many targets for Stroud, he's got to get the ball to them. Yeah, it's been, and then...
Well, he's not getting the ball to him. Now they're hurt. It's just not working out for him this season. But I still believe in Stroud, and I still feel like things in Houston are not going to return to that devastated wasteland that they were before. But
no, they'll win the AFC South every season for the next 5 years because it sucks. Chase, DeAndre Swift for Jalen Waddle. I'd keep Swift. Spence, Eagles or Chargers defense. Eagles playing the Jags. I gotta go with Eagles defense. Chase, Jamar Chase for CD Lamb. I'd want to keep Jamar Chase.
See, but I'd rather keep CD Lamb. Yeah. There are less targets in Dallas, and CD Lamb gets 10 catches a game. Jamar Chase does not.
I just prefer Chase. He's a better situation entirely. The Cowboys are a wreck.
I say CD Lamb for sure.
Well, there you go, Chase. You gotta choose. Your name is Chase. That's what I say. No, I hope he has an MVP season. He's definitely capable of it. Yeah, I think he will. Stroud will get there. He's still extremely talented, and he's still very young.
Yep.
D1, speaking of CD, should I try trading for him? No, honestly, if you needed anything, D1, I would say, I like Nick Chubb, but maybe another running back just in case. But I think receiver-wise, you're really solid.
Yeah, I'm looking at D1. I'm looking at your team that you listed above. K9 Saquon. Is it a one running back league? What did you do when K9 was hurt? Who was your backup halfback? Because that's the only thing I'd be worried about.
I traded Lamar, James Cook, and Puka Nacua for Cooper Kupp, Aaron Jones, Kyler Murray, and Amon-Ra.
Oh,
great trade!
I like that.
That's a hell of a trade.
That's good.
Spence, definitely CD has no competition for reception, and that's true. That's true. He's the only option in Dallas. CD for Brian Thomas and DeAndre Swift. That I would do. Brian Thomas is having a great season. DeAndre Swift is a solid running back. I like getting 2 for 1. So yeah, Chase, I'd make that trade.
I also feel like you could get more than that for CD.
Yeah,
more than DeAndre
if you
Swift.
can.
If you could get a better halfback than DeAndre Swift for that trade, I feel like you'd be getting better value.
Swift is having a good season after a rough start. And Brian Thomas is
he?
The only yeah.
See, as a former Lion, he's got 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's 19th. He's okay.
I traded for K9 after we recovered. I traded Calvin Ridley for Saquon earlier in the season. What? You traded Calvin Ridley for Saquon straight up?
That's
and traded
insane.
DJ Moore and Brian Robinson for K9.
The D1 lore is my favorite thing about this podcast.
You were going to run away with that league. I hope there's a nice, sizable money pot. Ryan, should I sit Devontae Williams or Chase Brown this week? I personally cannot start Javonte Williams ever. That dude has burned me too many times. I will never start him. I would go Chase Brown. I don't even care who they're playing. Don't start Javonte Williams.
This is the third time in the third position I've said this. Just wait for my fantasy picks this week, and you'll know what I picked. All right, let's finish up the picks.
2 other players that I forgot about. Oh, okay. So not just Calvin Ridley for Saquon straight up. I was going to say. That's like robbery. I would actually feel bad. All right, Dolphins at Bills. Bills by 5.5.
No, sorry. Dolphins at Bills. Bills by 5.5. I'll take the Bills. I think the Dolphins are cooked this season.
Losing to the Cardinals is not a good look. Yeah, I'm going with the Bills too. Cowboys at Falcons. Falcons by 2.5.
Cowboys, it has. I for a second there, I had a flashback to last week. I'm like, why are the Falcons favored by 2.5? I'll take the Falcons for sure.
I want to take the Cowboys.
Oh. Well, you know, I probably should. I was a comfortable 30 points up in our Dynasty League before Monday night, and then CeeDee Lamb went off for 45 points and beat me. And that might be why I'm glazing the hell out of CeeDee Lamb this week, but holy shit. How the hell, with one player left, do you beat me when I have that big of a lead? I was so mad.
Yeah, he went off in the fourth quarter. Commanders at Giants. Commanders by 3.5.
Yeah. Commanders. I'm taking the Commanders. The Commanders are good. I'm not going to let you influence me anymore. I was going to pick the Commanders last week. I didn't because you didn't. And then I lost again. The Giants are bad. The Commanders are good. Even if the defense is bad, Commanders it is.
That's fine. I'm going to pick the Giants simply because...
Of course you are.
Well, and I do think the Commanders win this game, but I just want to have the coverage if they lose.
Okay, I was about to say, I need you to say the thing out loud that I have said for multiple years now. I just don't want to pick the Commanders because they're my team.
Yeah, I don't want to pick them because if they lose, at least this way I can be like, well, I got one over on Punk. So that
all right, there you go. That works for me. Yeah. My problem,
Bears and
the problem you have that I had last year is that your team is now good, and doing that hurts you.
But that's okay because if we're 7-2, I don't care.
Yeah.
Bears at Cardinals. Cardinals by 1.5.
You know, it's. I thought I was going to come on the podcast and pick the Cardinals and pick an underdog, and the Cardinals are 1.5 point favorites. So I still picking the Cardinals, and I hope I don't jinx them. Where's some wood? Give me some. We're knocking on.
I'm taking the Bears, and I'm taking the Bears for one simple reason. I will be in person at this game, and I don't see the Cardinals win. It's that simple.
Are you going to wear Bears stuff or Cardinals stuff?
I will actually be wearing Bears stuff because I'll be sitting with some of my dad's friends from Chicago.
Have you seen the jackass since me and you were at the game? The one that sat in front of us?
No, because we went to the Commanders game, he sold those tickets.
So if he's there, you'll be there wearing Cardinal or Bears
But
stuff this time.
I'm not sitting in those seats because there's only 2, and my parents' friends are flying in from Chicago. They're in our Dynasty League, the Brookses. So I'll be sitting with them. They'll be wearing Bears stuff. I'll be wearing Bears stuff. I'm also hoping it's a reverse jinx. If I go there as a Bears fan, maybe the Cardinals won't know I'm there, and it's like disguise. The Cardinals won't realize I'm there, and they'll win. So,
okay,
but we'll see. Jags at Eagles. Eagles by 7.5.
I mean, can anyone pick the Jags for anything unless they're in London at this point?
I have no idea. All right, both going Eagles. Rams at Seahawks. Rams by 1.5.
I after what the Rams did last week on Thursday Night Football in a short week, people coming off of injury with all their weapons around, I have to take the Rams.
And not to mention the Seahawks are fighting amongst themselves on the sideline.
I feel,
Rams.
and this is kind of crazy, especially since the Cardinals are in that division. I feel like the Seahawks might be the worst team in that division.
They didn't look it early in the season. That division is so up and down. In 4 weeks, we could be talking about the 49ers, the worst team in that division. Like, I have no idea.
It's like I said, it's the NFC South this season.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. All right, both going Rams. Lions at Packers. Lions by 3.5.
Lions at Packers. See, now we get to my team, and we have to do the same thing. I feel like the Lions, I'm going to ride the team of destiny idea for this season and just pick the Lions. I'm picking the Lions.
Right.
They are one of the most complete looking teams this season. And where's more? I'm knocking on more wood for this because it just feels very weird to say, but they're one of the most complete looking teams to watch with your eyeballs. And if you don't think that, you might just be, well, I mean, you can look with your nose too, but it's not going to see much.
It doesn't work out as well.
So it's just one of those things. And we got to beat the Packers. We got to beat them.
I'm going to go with the Lions, too. I don't want to put any weird juju out there going opposite you, so just stick with the Lions.
Thank you.
Colts at Vikings. Vikings by 5.5.
Yeah, I think the Vikings, their losing streak's over.
They'll get back on track. And last one, Bucks at Chiefs. Chiefs by 8.5.
D1 said, "Do not diss my Seahawks." Oh, sorry, D1.
You can't argue that they're inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, their hangover against the Lions lasted extra long.
Yeah.
That's just.
I assume you're going Chiefs. I mean,
I should go Chiefs.
You go Bucks? I'll do it.
I am taking the Buccaneers to be the first team to beat the Chiefs. And I don't care if they're in Arrowhead. I don't care if Taylor Swift's there. That's my boy, Baker Mayfield, right there. And
all right, so you're going with the Bucks.
If we're gonna write storylines, we're gonna write Baker Mayfield as the MVP, and beating the Chiefs almost solidifies halfway through the season that bid for MVP. And I feel like the NFL, despite loving the Chiefs, could also be writing that at the same time.
Well, there you go. You picked the Patriots as the upset last week. Now you're doing it with the Bucks. Can you make it 2 in a row?
Okay. So we've finished this segment. I want to go right to the chat.
Well, hold up. We got to pick our bonuses.
Oh, we got bonuses. All right. Because I'm really interested in what... Oh, you wrote that. Okay.
Yeah.
Bonuses. I'm going to take the... These are hard. None of these are really easy bonuses. I'm going to take the Falcons as my bonus just because you picked the Cowboys. So I get the double bonus.
Well, then I'm going to take the Cowboys as my bonus. So whichever one is right is getting 2 points.
Yep. There you go.
All right.
I wanted to go straight to a Seattle Seahawks fan to point out that what I said weeks ago, they're feeling the inconsistency. Because it was crazy to me that the Seahawks could play the Lions like Super Bowl contenders, and then for 2 straight weeks after playing the Lions, look like they wanted the number 1 pick. It was crazy. Now they've kind of come back full circle to the point where they're playing well, but it's just you do not know what you're going to get with the Seahawks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, quick question check in chat. Borgie asked, Rashad Wright, Madison, or Singletary if Tyrone Tracy out? I would go with Singletary if Tracy does not play. And then if he does play, Madison. I think that is it. Yep. All right, cool. All right, let's dive on into our fantasy sleepers from last week, which I didn't hit a single one because the Commanders' defense stepped up and shut down Caleb Williams and Odunze. You hit on Ricky Pearsall. He was ranked 62nd. My comeback
story in these rankings has been epic.
Yeah, you've been gone on a run. But yeah, Pearsall finished 43rd, ranked 62nd. Tight end, you picked Sam Laporta. He was ranked 15th and finished 8th. I thought he was even going to be higher than that.
Yeah, he played really well.
Yeah.
Best game on National Tight Ends Day.
It was fantastic. All right. So this week, I am going to go with Joe Flacco as my quarterback. He's ranked 26th, playing against Minnesota. Minnesota's going to throw a bunch. Flacco has shown that he can still get it done. So I like him to try and keep up.
Alec Pierce, Pittman, Josh Downs. The
Yeah.
Colts have an amazing receiving crew. They have a decent. I don't know why I was thinking Zach Moss with the Colts. They have an amazing running back in Jonathan Taylor. The fact that Anthony Richardson is just tapped out and gone, and Flacco is now starting. Those running backs those weapons for Joe Flacco are very good, even against a good Vikings. So I think that's a good pick for sure. My pick was, and it's kind of like my foreplay last week. My pick this week for my QB pick is Derek Carr. If he plays, Derek Carr, very good. Shown he's been very good with the Saints. Has a lot of weapons. Can play very well. So if he plays, I expect good things out of him against Carolina, one of the worst teams in the NFL. He should do very well in his return to set them up to make more of a run than they have done without him since he's been injured. So I picked Derek Carr, ranked 15th this week, to at least be 10th or higher.
Nice. Running backs, I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert, who's ranked 36th against Buffalo. I know they've got a lot of running backs in Miami, but
pains me to no end since I picked Mostert as like a 5th rounder in multiple leagues. Oh, yeah. You want to be ranked 26th running back? That's helpful. Thank you for your contributions to this fantasy team.
Who's your running back?
My running back is Chase Brown, who I mentioned earlier in the podcast when people were talking about him in chat. I think Chase Brown, ranked 27th running back versus the Los Angeles Raiders, is going to have a very good game. So.
Nice.
Yep.
I've got receiver. I'm going with Xavier Leggett now that Deontay Johnson is gone. He's ranked 49th versus New Orleans. I'm also going to guarantee over 100 yards receiving for him.
From Leggett? That is
Xavier
a
Leggett.
hell of a guarantee.
Thank you.
What was we didn't talk about your richest guarantees. Weren't you 5-2 last week?
Yeah,
Now
because
you're
the Commanders' defense shut down the Bears. I had I had a Dunze anytime touchdown.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you had a good guarantee record. You are on a downward slope, and I do not feel good about the Leggett one. But
Someone's got to catch the ball in Carolina.
it's true. We'll see what happens for you there. My wide receiver is a guy that played very well for the first time once Sean Watson got hurt, and that's Jerry Jeudy. I have Jerry Jeudy, who's ranked 44th wide receiver versus the Chargers. I think Jerry Judy's going to have a good game, catching passes for Jameis Winston, and do well. So there you go.
All right, and last up, tight end, I'm going to go with Cole Kmet. He's ranked 19th against Arizona. Caleb Williams does like throwing to him. And I think after the way the Bears' offense looked last week, that they're going to try to get out and throw the ball and air it out against the Cardinals' defense.
And the Arizona defense hates covering tight ends, as we know.
Have for years.
Every freaking year. Tight end, which has been my least favorite position to pick for multiple years on this podcast, has been my point of power. What's
Pride.
the word I'm looking for? Pride. I keep hitting tight ends, so I'm calling Colby Parkinson at Seattle. Sorry, D1. But I'm calling Colby Parkinson at Seattle, who's ranked the 26th tight end, to score big with Matthew Stafford this weekend. The big no in chat. I see it. But I got Colby Parkinson.
All right, there we go. That is our Week 9 preview.
Awesome. All right, well, that is going to do it for the podcast this week. Thank you, everybody that's been here during the live. We are here every Wednesday starting around 7 p.m. Pacific. The time change should happen soon. Living in Arizona, that'll mean we'll start at 8. It's this Sunday? So next week it'll be 8 p.m. Mountain Time that we start the podcast here on TikTok. So if you want to be here, please remember next week it's an hour later for most people than it is now. So come check it out, Coffin Corner Podcast on TikTok. You can also find us, all the VODs, the replays of this live stream will be on our YouTube, youtube.com/@Coffin Corner. You can find us mulling around. I always say our X is at Coffin Corners, but let's be completely honest. You can find me at Den Defenders on Twitter, and you can find you where on Twitter?
Hail Hogs, I believe it still is. HAILHOGS.
Yeah, so Hail Hogs and Den Defenders, those are the two X accounts for our Lions and Commanders accounts. And then you can go to any podcast catcher app that exists, search for Coffin Corner, find that pylon icon, and you will find this podcast. So those are where you can find us. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, good times. We're really enjoying streaming on TikTok this year, seeing a lot of really cool people in the chat, answering all of your fantasy questions. It's just been a really good time. So thank you all, and we hope to continue to see you throughout the rest of the season. Richie, you got anything else you want to say?
Nope. That about covers everything.
All right, before we go, we got two things in the chat. I saw this earlier. I really want to react to it. So D1 says that her biggest opponent, Jay Jettis, AJ Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Bowers, Breece Hall, a Kane. Do I have a chance? I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think
your
so.
team is better,
Yeah.
but I honestly, that team is very good.
Yeah. Yeah, that team's pretty loaded too. But I didn't hear a quarterback. Which quarterback was it?
Yeah, who does that team have as a quarterback?
Yeah.
Also, is Kelsey still a certified start? I think he is more so now than he was weeks ago. So
Yeah, I could never bench Kel. If the problem with tight ends is like there are certain guys you just have to deal with the ups and downs. I did that with Andrews earlier in the year, and now he's playing just fine. Kelsey's just you just put him in and hope for the best. He's never gonna get you a 0.
yeah, true. Their QB is Joe Burrow. So on again, off again.
That is a
That's
tough team for sure.
So we'll see. Hopefully, D1, you come back and let us know what's going on every Wednesday right here, because I'm actually, like I said, the D1 lore is very interesting. So I look forward to seeing what happens. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon. But that's going to do it for the podcast this week. Thank everyone for hanging out here. This was a lot of fun. As always, good luck to your teams this week, unless they're playing mine. Have a good week, everybody.